We are here at Lost Maples State Natural Area in Central Texas, and I just wanted to show you this diagonal seam riverbed construction as we found on two continents, Eurasia and North America. Institutional geology would say that this is just a natural occurrence. This is just the way it formed, really. This is a terraformed river, as all the rivers that I've explored have been. All the creeks, all the rivers, the creek beds and the river beds have been built in ancient times by an advanced race or races, and here's some more evidence of this diagonal construction which we've found on two continents, Eurasia, specifically in Bosnia, in the Bosnian Pyramid Complex, and throughout Texas. So we have this quite clear pointer. It's pointing us toward the ancient past and pointing us toward the fact of terraforming by showing us a diagonal, because diagonal engineering is the strongest engineering for a creek bed or riverbed. And as we move back up the bank, we can see the diagonal construction as well. So here it is again. So here it's pointing this way, okay? just as that is pointing that way. All diagonals. The main diagonal line goes across the entire river, as it does in the Blanco River in Texas. And the diagonals cross the entirety of the Phoenicia River as well. So we have this engineering. All right, this is ancient engineering. This is concretized gypsum, right? Here's the diagonals right here, pointing toward us, 45 degree to the flow of the river, all right? 45 degree to the flow of the river. Opposing 45s right there, okay? So wherever we look, we see these diagonal lines. Wherever we look, we see the diagonal lines, okay? There's the river. Diagonal line, we'll follow it along. Okay? Pointing us toward the fact of terraforming. Pointing us toward the fact of terraforming. All right, let's get a bigger view on this. So we see those two diagonal lines, right? Pointing us toward the fact of terraforming. You can see the lines, right? Diagonals. 45 to the flow of the river, right? So that's directly across the flow of the river, right there. That's a 45, and there's the flow of the river. All right. Sabinal River. Endlessly diagonal, endlessly constructed. We have these thin gypsum layers, concretized gypsum. In the Bosnian Pyramid Complex, it's baked claystone layers, right? Baked adhered claystone layers. Here it's baked adhered gypsum layers. Here's the line. Here's the seam between sections. And the seam goes through those two layers. Oh wow, how'd geology do that? So that's supposed to be two time periods, right? The layer on the right is supposed to be a different time period from the layer on the left, right? And yet this line transverses both of them, okay? Now it does a dog leg, boom, and just goes there. Oh, and there's a curve in it too. How is nature curving its fractures? Because that's what geology calls these. Geology calls these fractures. Really? Wow. Pretty sweet fracture. I love it when the ancients curve their lines, because it's like they're saying, to me, it's like they're saying, we are so advanced that we're going to do something that you don't even understand, and certainly would never do. So here we have two lines, right? We have the curving, we have this curving line here, and then we have the straight line there. Pretty amazing. Together. straight and curving together. Wow. All right. Diagonal seam. Not a right angle seam, okay, but a diagonal. Beautiful day. I wonder if you can find a terraformed creek bed or riverbed in your area. The wind has come up a bit, but we can still see in this fresh spring water fed river the construction of the ancients beneath. This river lasted millions of years. The Sabinal River has lasted much, much longer than human history has lasted. And it's still intact. The base of the river, the foundation of the river is still intact. And of course, as we found in other locations, the river bed is the base of the hill on either side of it. The ancients built their riverbeds and creek beds as the foundation of hills, okay? So the hills are still here and the creek beds and riverbeds are still here. Whereas if we laid down a concrete structure with thin layers, right? Like this, that structure would be completely taken apart in 100 years by the water, but it's still here. Our next project is to work on the timeline of the ancients to try to give an estimated period in history when the ancients terraformed the continents. Obviously, they may have terraformed continents at different times. They may have terraformed parts of continents at different times, but we're going to do our best to see if we can give a rough estimate of when this incredible series of construction projects took place. The ancients working layer by layer, meticulously, okay? Very thin layers. And we have these beautiful curving and straight line geometries to speak of their advanced knowledge. And we have these seams that go through what geology would call sedimentary layers. So this seam, see that long straight line, okay, goes through all of those, quote, sedimentary layers, all of those, quote, time periods. Well, that's impossible. So we know that's not natural geology, right? We know that that is terraforming from that little seam right there. Also, we have the diagonal construction, which is found in other rivers across the world. Let's continue the search for the truth about humanity's past on Earth and about the past of mysterious Terra herself. Much needs to be uncovered, much needs to be examined and revalued. I hope everyone has a scientific day.